Okay, good evening, all of you. I was actually waiting for some time until more students come. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
All right. Well, then I will directly go to my screen. Okay. Right. Well, let's start our work. And this is where I stopped during the previous session. Okay, hope you all remember I was discussing phonotactics and after that stress and intonation. Actually I was in my discussion halfway through the intonation. So today at the beginning of today's session I would like to wind up our earlier discussion on intonation. Okay, only the latter part is there, so I will take some time to complete that discussion. So accordingly we have these tone groups. Okay, when we specially talk about intonation, by now you must have some clear idea regarding what intonation is. Simply to brief about intonation, that is collection of different pitch levels. And usually we apply intonation to an expression or an utterance. Okay. Sometimes we can consider even single words too to talk about either the application of either rising intonation or falling intonation, so and so. But usually we can see an intonation pattern within a sentence. And in this part of the lesson, we are going to talk about in detail about this, right? Although in generally we say we apply intonation to a sentence, actually what is happening is that we apply intonation to a particular part of a sentence, actually speaking tone group. Okay, right. So now let's see what tone groups are. Here you have an introductory part to tone groups, right? In analyzing intonation patterns, we need to divide long sequences of discourse into tone groups. So it's really necessary for you to know about the tone groups in the discussion of intonation. So then what do you mean by the tone groups? They are not necessarily syntactic, which means they are not grammatical groups. Okay, they correspond to units of information. So this is the basic idea about tone group. They are units of information. Okay, right. Now within a sentence, there can be only one unit of information, or there can be two units, more than two units also. Here the main idea is this tone group will get one intonation pattern. And if you have only one tone group within a single sentence, then you have only one intonation pattern. But if you have two tone groups within the same sentence, then you will have two maybe similar or different intonation patterns. I'm sorry. It's a problem in my laptop. Okay, automatically the slides are moving. Okay, let's keep it like this. Now hope you can see my screen in this way as well. Right. Well, now I was talking about the tone groups here. Well, now here you have an example. She sat by the window in the late afternoon reading a letter. This is one sentence, right? One single sentence. But within this sentence, you can find two units of information. One unit is this first part. She sat by the window in the late afternoon. The whole thing, this whole thing gives you one complete idea, right? One complete idea, one sense. And what do you think about the next part? Reading a letter. Now, this is not a complete sentence because I have not mentioned it as she was reading a letter, nothing like that, just reading a letter, because this part has been attached to the the main part of the sentence. Actually, this is grammatically, if you analyze this is a participle phrase. Okay, participle phrase performing the function of an adjective because it modifies what she's doing. Okay, but here you don't have to worry about the grammatical function, right? Instead, you need to understand these two as two different tone groups. Two tone groups. Then, when we pronounce or when we say this sentence, we automatically, without our, awareness even, we use two intonation patterns. She sat by the window in the late afternoon reading a letter. Now, how do you understand? Two tone groups and two intonation patterns. Can you guess what the intonation pattern is for the first one? She sat by the window in the late afternoon. Okay, just imagine you are telling this part only of the sentence. Only this part. Then what about? What is the intonation? Roughly, is it a rising intonation or falling intonation like that? Yeah, any idea? Yes, no clue. I don't hear now anything. Do you hear me?
Yes, madam.
Mhm. Okay. Yes. Anybody has any idea regarding this first part of the sentence? This is a statement. She sat by the window in the late afternoon. This is one statement. We say this, right, naturally using the falling intonation. Falling intonation because you need to understand. I think in the earlier day we were talking about this intonation patterns. Very sorry because of this. Okay, just give me some time. Okay, now look at this. I was talking about this earlier, pitch pattern and meaning. So if you express finality or conclusion or kind of affirmation, you will have falling tone. Okay. And now this is regarding the meaning or attitude, whatever you imply. And on the other hand, we use a particular intonation patterns according to the grammar as well. That means according to the grammatical information of our sentence. Like if we are telling a statement, then automatically we use the falling intonation. If you are asking a question, especially yes no question, like are you listening? That's a yes no question. Are you listening at the moment? I am raising my intonation, right? So the answer is either yes or no. So automatically the intonation, the pitch level goes up towards the end of the sentence. And but that's different when we say a WH question. What's your name? What's your name? That's falling intonation. So likewise, according to the particular grammatical information, also we use different intonation patterns. All right. Well, so now let's come back to our discussion on tone groups. Then this is a kind of a statement. So we use the falling intonation, right? And reading a letter is also not a question or anything, right? That is also a part of the statement. Again, falling intonation. So we have two tone groups in this sentence. Each has falling intonation applied to that. Okay, that is the main point here. And also you need to be familiar with this tonic syllable as well. Right? Tonic syllable that is the most important syllable within a tone group. Okay, why do we say it is important? Because it is at the tonic syllable that we change our pitch level. Oh, we can say it like that. It is at the tonic syllable that our listener can clearly hear whether our pitch is going up or going down. It is clearly heard at the tonic syllable. So tonic syllable indicates the direction of pitch, either rising or falling. You have that idea here. Each tone group contains a tonic syllable which carries the major shift in intonation. Okay, so usually inside the tone group, the tonic syllable occurs at the end. It is the last stress syllable in the tone group. Usually tonic syllable doesn't occur at the beginning of a tone group, never. Usually at the end. Okay, right. It expresses the information which the speaker considers new and most important, as in the following sentences. And I have underlined the tonic syllables of these sentences. I think you can see these sentences. Did you get the job? Versus, did you lose your job? Now, here, can you understand why these underlined words are tonic syllables? Now, in the first sentence, job is the tonic syllable because it is anyway monosyllabic word. Only one syllable is there and that syllable is stressed. Okay. And this is yes, no question. So, I rise my pitch level. Did you get the job? Did you get the job? Like that. Did you lose your job? Did you lose your job? What do you think about the second sentence? Did you lose your job? Here, what do I want to emphasize actually when I say this sentence? Rather than emphasizing job here, I want to emphasize the word lose. So I stress it. Okay, right? So accordingly, you can change the position of the tonic syllable. And another set is there, I visited my mother. So that's a statement. I visited my mother. So the falling which is there, which means the falling intonation, right? Falling intonation. In the second sentence, second part of the pair, I visited your mother. So there, the speaker wants to emphasize the meaning of your. So he stresses the word your than the word visited or mother. Okay, right. So the tonic syllable, knowing about tonic syllable is important because whenever you talk about tone groups, remember, now these are some exceptional situations, right? These two, this sentence and this one. These are quite exceptional situations because you don't find the tonic syllable at the very end. It occurs in the middle of the sentence. That is because of the meaning the speaker wants to highlight or particularly convey or emphasize. Right? Other than that, generally, tonic syllable occurs at the end of a tone group. So there are 4 sentences you can see here. Each has one tone group. Unlike the first sentence, unlike this. In the first example, you have 2 tone groups there. But in these 2 pairs, each sentence has one tone group. Okay, right. Now, here you have some idea regarding the pitch patterns in different sentence types. That's what earlier I told you. If it is a statement, what about the intonation pattern, right? How does the intonation behave? So this is the point. Now talking about a statement. A statement has a long falling intonation pattern, like a whale is a mammal. A whale is a mammal. This is a statement. Statements are used to give information, to pass factual information, right? So we are not rising our pitch level. Our pitch level is falling. A whale is a mammal, like that. Okay, it's a falling intonation. And second one, a command also has low falling intonation when compliance is expected, like close the window. If you say the same command with rising intonation, your listener will never ever pay attention to that. Like close the window. Do you even get the idea? No, I don't think so. So you need to give the full impression of a command by folding your pitch level. Right. Close the window. And the third one, yes, no question has long rising intonation pattern because it expects an answer that is not the final thing, right? The speaker wants the listener to reply. So, do you want some coffee? When I say this, you can listen very clearly. At the end of the question, my pitch level goes gradually up. Do you want some coffee? Like that. Right. And then we have echo question. Number 4, echo question which asks for the repetition of what has been said before. Also has rising or falling rising intonation. Anyway, at the end, rising. Okay. He said what? Now, just think here. I think you are familiar with echo questions. In echo questions, we echo the question. At least we echo the part of the question. Somebody says you something like he said that he would get absent like that. Another person tells to you, but unfortunately you don't get it clearly. So you ask about it. And your question can begin with part of the statement said by the other person. The other person said, he said that something, something. So you can ask, right? Actually, you can ask for clarification. He said what? So automatically there also, you would be raising your pitch level. He said what? Like that. Okay. And number 5, a WH question. When we talk about the intonation of WH question, that has long falling intonation pattern, just like in a state, right? Where did you put the paper? Where did you put the paper? It's quite unlikely, okay? Rising intonation is bit unlikely when you answer WH question. Where did you put the paper? Where did you put the paper? It's like that, okay? So all these things are happening at the general sense. But there can be so many exceptional situations depending on the speaker's choice. Right? Imagine I want to emphasize a particular word. If I want to emphasize a word, then I might use the falling intonation, even if it is either yes, no question or something like that. Right? If I want to emphasize, I might use falling intonation, irrespective of the grammatical structure of the utterance. But these are common rules. So remember, talking about intonation and tone groups, if this grammatical information, if it is a statement falling, and if it is a command falling, yes, no question rising, echo question rising, and WH question falling. Right? These are the common patterns of the use of intonation. Right. And this continues, right? Now, there's number 6, talking about tag question. Tag question has 2 tone groups. First half, now look at this example. First half is systematically a statement, while the second half is syntactically a question. Right? Syntactically a statement. Syntactically means grammatically. First part is a statement and second part is a question. So if it is a statement, you know the intonation pattern. What is that? If it is a statement, the intonation pattern is falling. And if it is a tag question, tag means yes, no question. A kind of, because the answer is either yes or no. So there the intonation pattern is rising. So the first sentence is a combination of first falling and then rising intonation. First tone group receives falling intonation. Second tone group receives rising intonation. Okay. You can read these details. I'm not going to read all these lines, okay? Right. And 7 point, alternative question. Okay, now we have this type of questions also, an alternative question where we give the alternatives in the question itself. That means the answers, alternatives to the answers are also given in the question itself. Such a question can have more than one, even more than two tone groups. Look at this. Did you buy a paper or not? Here not means not buying a paper. Okay, that these are the two options. So then buying a paper is one option, not buying a paper is the second option. So then how do we use the intonation pattern? Remember, if there are two such tone groups, first tone group receives the rising intonation and the second tone group receives the falling intonation. Now, could you please check the notes as well and see whether the particular intonation pattern is mentioned? Okay, right. So did you buy a paper or not? That is how we say this type of a question. So then buy a paper rising or not falling. Okay, right. I have given it, right? The first pattern is long rising and the second short falling, right? And there's another type of grammatical structures. Number 8, listing items. So when we are listing items, remember there are several tone groups. I bought some apples, oranges, and peaches. There are 3 items that have been listed. Then we raise our intonation at the first 2 items in the list and fall the intonation at the last item because there are 3 items. I bought some apples, oranges, and peaches. So peaches are down there, right? Falling intonation. Apples and oranges are pronounced with rising intonation. Okay, now what if there are 5 options? Here you have only 3 options. This is 3 items in the list now. If you have 5 items, what can you say about the intonation? Any idea? Yes. If you have 5 items in the list. We use the rising intonation at the first 4 items and falling intonation at the last item. If you have 10 items, rising intonation at the first 9 items and falling intonation at the last, that means the 10th item. So that is how we use intonation in listing. So each item is considered to be one separate tone group. Okay, right. And number 9, complex sentences. They also have similar pattern. Short rising followed by the appropriate end intonation, whether the subordinate clause precedes or follows the main clause, right? Here, when she arrived home, she opened the mail. When she arrived home, she opened the mail. So when she arrived home, this tone, the first tone group, gets the rising intonation, and the second tone group precedes the falling intonation. Okay, right. And the last point, number 10, question expressing great doubt or surprise has a falling, rising intonation pattern like, are you sure? Are you sure? How do you say this normally? We have to say expression like this or question like this when we are in a doubt, no? Right? When we are in a doubt. So how do we express our doubt? Falling, rising. Are you sure? Are you sure? Sure is at the high level. The pitch level is high when you say sure. Are you sure? First falling and then rising. Okay, right? When we ask something about a doubt. Okay, so these are the general trends. There are 10 different situations of grammatical structures, right? Other than the 10th one, okay, 10th one is not a particular grammatical structure. It is a question talking about kind of feeling or attitude. Surprise, doubt and surprise, no? But other than 10th one, all the other points give you an idea regarding different grammatical structures and how they are receiving different intonation patterns. All right. So now you have very short, short in the sense, not a lengthy thing. The question has three parts. Can you see? I have highlighted the question or the three parts of the question. For each of the following sentences, I have given you 10 sentences. Identify these three things. The number of tone groups. The first question is how many tone groups are there in the given sentence? And then the tonic syllable in each tone group. If you have two tone groups, then you have to identify the tonic syllable in each tone group, right? Then third part, the intonation patterns of each tone group. Is it falling or rising likewise? Okay, here you have 10 sentences. Uh, in front of some sentences, you are given some idea within brackets so that you can get the context of that sentence. So that you can easily understand in which sense that sentence has been used, that utterance has been expressed. Okay, it will help you identify the meaning as well as the tone group. Okay, right. So in order to complete our discussion, now this is the end of our discussion on tone groups. So in order to complete our discussion, you are required to do this work. Now this won't take a long time, right? I have already sent you the lecture note. So you have these sentences with you, I hope. Even if you do not have, there's no issue. You all can see the 10 sentences on my screen, right? You can view the sentences. No? So don't start writing all the sentences. Either you can take a photo or screenshot, but take a piece of paper and write the answers. Now, although there are three parts in the question, there are simple things for you to do. Just count the number of tone groups. If you have a hard copy, you can just underline if the question is there and mark the tonic syllable and identify and write down what the intonation pattern is. That's all in relation to all these sentences. This you need to do as a practice. So I'll give you some time. Some time in the sense around 10 minutes, I think that will be enough. Okay? Will be more than enough. Yes, start doing this and without keeping quiet, I want you to talk here, right? At the end of this time. Otherwise, there's no point in taking time, right? If you are not doing the work. So, therefore, all of you, please share your answers with us at the end of this time. And meanwhile, I will send you the note of the next topic. Can please any one of you let me know whether I have already sent it? I can't remember. That is the note on I think number 4. Now this is number 3, right? Note number 4. Have I sent it to you? Can't remember whether I sent it in the chat last day. Yeah? Bharani?
No, madam.
No. It's all right. Okay. So while you are doing this work, I will send it in the chat. All right? Okay. You do this, sir. That lesson is on the internal structure of words. Right? Okay. Yeah, please let me know now. Yeah, that is sent. Can you check your chat and see whether you have received that note of the next topic?
Yes, madam, it is there.
Fine then. We'll move to that after we finish this work. Okay, so please take your time now and find out the answers to this. And at the same time, can I know whether these questions, the sentences are there in the lecture note that I have already sent to you earlier? Are these sentences available? I can't remember. Anyway, I will leave the screen, right? Like this. Okay, do the work. Have you finished? Yes?
Yes, madam.
Everyone? That is Asana, I think. How about the others? Do you want more time to think about the answers? How about the others? All right. Silent means we can't hold more time now. Right. Okay, who would like to share your answers now? The first one, we went to a movie last night. Okay, I'm not going to tell the sentences one by one. Whatever you have done, up to whatever the number of sentence, I would like you to speak, right? Those who have finished the work, I invited to share your answers. You can just read, okay? No need of sharing the screen or anything. Just read out your answers. The first one, starting with the first one. Who would like to start? Yeah, Asana? Yeah.
The number of tone group is 1.
What about the first one you are talking about?
Yes, the first one, madam.
Okay.
Tone groups is 1. Tone syllable is movie. Intonation pattern is falling.
Holy. Okay. Okay, just carry on. Only the first one you have done?
No, I did, madam.
You just carry on, right?
The second one also, the tone groups, there is one tone group. The tone syllable is night, and the intonation pattern is falling. Third one, one tone group. Tone syllable is movie. Intonation is rising intonation.
Okay.
Fourth one tone group. One tone group.
Okay.
Tone syllable tonight. Intonation is rising. Fifth one, two tone groups. First tone group is tonight. The tone syllable of first one is tonight, and the second one is tomorrow. Intonation is both rising.
Both rising.
Yes, madam. Sixth one, two tone groups.
Yes.
And the tone syllable
The
tonight
same thing, right? I think that's a
and
mistake.
tomorrow.
Should
Yes,
we
madam.
see the movie tonight or tomorrow? I think that's a mistake. So, right?
Yes.
Both fifth and sixth sentences are the same.
Same, right?
Yeah.
The
Can skip
seventh
it.
one, two tone groups.
Okay.
And the tone syllable, first one is movie and second one ice cream.
Yeah.
First intonation is rising, and for the second one falling. Eighth one, two tone groups. Tone syllables, first one museum. For second one zoo. The intonation rising, and for the second one falling. Ninth one, there are two tone groups. First one movie, and for the second one could. First one rising.
Rising?
Yes.
Why?
Go to,
On which basis do you identify it to be rising?
no, falling, madam, falling.
Okay.
Falling, rising, right? Falling and could rising. Second one, and the last one tone group. The tone syllable is go, and the intonation pattern is falling.
Intonation pattern is Falling, yes. Now,
Falling,
which
yes.
question? Okay, can you please rethink of your answer to fifth one? Fifth or sixth, anyway, whatever. The intonation patterns of both tone groups. Can you please tell it again? Should we see the movie tonight or tomorrow, that one?
Both rising, madam.
Both
Isn't it?
rising. May I know why? Both rising? There are two options, right? See in the movie, tonight is one option, tomorrow is the other option. So when there are options in the same sentence, what about?
Then the second one is falling, madam.
Yeah. Okay, you need to think of that. Yeah, it's good work, Asana. Right? Yeah, thanks for sharing the answers with all of us. Now, what about the others? Have you also done it like the same way or anything different? If there are any different answers, you can now take the chance. Others, I'm asking. I don't hear anything from the other students. Gayani? No response. And Jaya Surya, Yoganandi, what about you?
Only three is different, madam. I
Only?
have two third answer.
Only three you have done?
No, it's different, I think.
Okay. Could you please share your answers also then?
Two tone groups.
Which sentence?
Uh, third one, should we see a movie tonight?
Okay. Mhm.
Two tone groups.
What are the two tone groups there?
Should we see tonight?
Should we see a movie and tonight? You separate them.
No, should we see and tonight?
Where's movie? In which tone group you have a movie then?
That is different. I confused it.
Yes, that's right. No, it's all right. Here you need to understand your, right? Need to understand tone group is information unit as I earlier introduced. A unit of information. It gives you a sort of clear information and sometimes you can get a complete idea. Okay. And you can't decide tone groups according to the length. We can't say a tone group should have one word or only two words or definitely more than two words, nothing like that. Now, here in these sentences, you can see some tone groups have more than two, three words, and some other tone groups have only a single word. So, number of words, according to the number of words, you can't decide a tone group, right? You have to read the whole sentence, understand the meaning, and based on the meaning, you need to divide it according to the tone groups. The other side is actually you can easily identify the tone groups by paying your attention to the intonation patterns, right? Now, so usually when we are speaking naturally, we never pay our attention to our intonation. We are not actually aware whether our intonation is rising now or falling now, or we do not even plan. Now I should rise my pitch level, now I should fall it like that. We never ever plan, but these things happen automatically. But for the purpose of learning these things, we have to pay our attention to, right? So if you are fully aware of the behavior of your intonation pattern, then you can easily find out the tone groups. Because one intonation pattern is applied to one tone group. So if you ever find out that within your sentence there are more than one intonation patterns that are applied to different parts of the sentence, then these different parts are the separate tone groups. Okay. So practice will help you to be more thorough with the identification of the tone groups as well as to identify the particular intonation patterns. Okay, now I am not going to ask from the others because others, I don't know whether they are available or not. Right, never mind. These are the answers. Earlier, because of this laptop issue, you could see these answers, but you couldn't locate, I think, right? Okay, so you can do it like this. Take a screenshot of this slide. Or you can take a photo and check the answers with your answers. Okay. Okay, have you taken this?
Yes, madam.
Right. Okay, so let's wind up our discussion with this because I don't want to take more time than this for intonation, right? Okay, I'm stopping this now. And let me go to the next discussion, the next topic, that is topic number 4, which is on the internal structure of words and process of word formation. Okay, right. Let me share my screen first. Now, this is the note I sent to you today in chat. Right. Now, in this lesson, there are 2 parts. First part is talking about the internal structure of words, in other words, about morphology. Right now, this whole lesson is based on morphology because so far we were talking about phonetics and phonology. Right, these segmental and suprasegmental sounds are discussed in phonetics and phonology area. And now we are moving on to the morphology. But here I will not take a long time, although the lesson is lengthy, right? The note is lengthy, but I will be discussing without taking long time all these areas. So I would be a little bit fast. Okay, right? So you need to catch, and if any one of you here has done the HND in SLEAD, I don't know whether you have done that diploma, right? High National Diploma in English by SLEAD, then definitely you have got the basics of these areas because there's a unit on morphology in language. And in that unit, we talk about word formation processes as well. So if you are familiar with the SLEAD syllabus, definitely you are familiar with this area. Even if you have not completed HND, just don't worry, right? Because I have given all the necessary information. Only thing is, sometimes when we discuss, when we proceed our discussions, you will have to take some examples or some extra points to your note from my discussions and from my slides as usual. Okay, so therefore for that you all have to be very keen and to be listening with attention to these discussions. And whenever necessary, you all are required to speak, okay, and contribute to the discussions. All right. Well, then let's start our work here in this section actually. I plan to cover these areas: defining word, morphemes, processes of word formation, and idioms. Okay, and I'm not going to talk about idioms in very detail, just introduction of idioms. And that is at the end anyway, the last area of discussion. But before that, let's start our discussion with the definitions to word. What do you mean by word, right? And gradually we can go to the discussion of morphemes after that. All right. So here you have a brief introduction about word. Simply, okay, now, when we use language, either orally or in writing, we use words, no? Without using words, we can't use any language. But we do not pay our attention. Just like we do not pay our attention to single sounds, very rarely we pay our attention to the words also. Right? Do you ever think about what are the characteristics of a single word, right? Or what kind of a thing do we mean by word like that? Okay, these are not common queries, no, right? We never ever worry about that part. Instead, we practically use words to get our ideas communicated. Right now, here is the chance for you to think about word in the definition section. Right? So basically, what do you mean by a word? It is a speech sound or a combination of sounds, or its representation in writing. Okay, there are so many ideas here given in this part that symbolizes and communicates a meaning and may consist of a single morpheme or a combination of morphemes. Actually, this morpheme thing I am not going to discuss now at the moment, right? And before that, there are some features about a word given here. Now, a word can be just a single speech sound. Now, by now you know about the sounds, no? You know about the speech sounds, right? So, even a single speech sound can be a word. Like now, what do you think about this speech sound? Now, this is a vowel. Actually, this is a tense vowel. Tense vowel means long. We are dragging this. What is the word? I have written the sound on my screen using the phonetic screen. But what is the word here? Did you recognize the word? Yes. No idea. What is this word? This is, we pronounce this as ah, right? Ah. That means the word is this. And we have another single vowel sound. This one. Again, this is the phonetic symbol. And what is the word?
Oh.
Yes, O-R, O. So like that, now these are not the only examples for single speech sounds for single word, right? There are so many other examples, but I just wanted to clarify this point, right? A word is a speech sound, just like in these examples, or a combination of sounds. So this is clear now, right? A single word normally is a combination of so many sounds, so many vowels and consonants. Or now we talk about these two parts, talking about sounds, right? Oral aspect. Or even we can identify a word in writing as well, right? It's representation in writing. So the representation of these sounds in writing can also be identified as a word. So we write words. Just like we speak words, we write words also. And next part of this introductory paragraph about the word is that symbolizes and communicates a meaning. This is very, very important, right? A single word should have a clear, complete meaning. It should communicate a meaning or it should symbolize a particular meaning. Right? And may consist of a single morpheme or a combination of morpheme, right? Morpheme is also a kind of unit, right? A unit, we will talk about it a bit later. So a word can consist of one single morpheme or combination of morphemes. Now, when you look at this example, which I have written here, although this is one speech sound, right? This is one morpheme as well, one morpheme. But compared to that, you can think about this word. How many morphemes are there? Just like R, O, help is one morpheme. And what about this word? Helpful. There are two morphemes. Okay, two morphemes. So just like now, the whole thing is one word. And just like this is a word, helpful is also one word. So that is why here I say a word can consist of a single morpheme, like in this case, or a combination of morphemes, like in the case of helpful. There are two morphemes combined. Or anyways, don't bother about the word morpheme. We'll talk about it. So a word is something like this that has so many uh, characteristics, as you can see, right? Okay, and this idea is given by Richard Nyquist, actually. Richard Nyquist. This definition is from Richard Nyquist, quite a recent definition in 2019. Okay, right. And you have another definition. This is from Oxford Dictionary. Okay. You need to go through these definitions and be clear with them, right? Be clear on what they mean. According to this one, a word is a single, distinct, meaningful element of speech or writing. A single element, distinct means different from the other elements, and meaningful, that has a meaning. Used with others or sometimes alone. Others means used with other words. Or sometimes we use words in isolation as well to form a sentence, and typically shown with a space on either side when written or printed. Okay, so that's the idea given by the Oxford Dictionary. In slow speech, how do we recognize a word? In slow speech, just like we recognize a word in written with spaces on either side, how do we recognize a word in speaking? Just like we put spaces in writing, in speaking, what do we do? In slow speaking, I mean, right? Not in natural speaking. Any idea?
Intonations.
Interpretations. No,
No, intonations.
sorry. Intonation, okay. That is fine. But just think about a single word in speaking. How do I now just imagine I'm a little bit fast now at the moment, but I speak slowly. Then how do you recognize my words? One from, how do you separately recognize the words from the other words? How? If I speak slowly, right? That condition is good. Any idea? Yes? Yeah. By the pauses. If you speak very slowly, right, how do you separate your words? You put pauses. Your words will be separated by pauses. Just like in writing a word, we separate the words by spaces. Okay, but that part is not mentioned in this definition, the Oxford Dictionary. It gives you an idea regarding how to write a word with spaces on either side. Okay, how to write a word only. Okay, right. I think this definition is clear to you. And Here you have three different definitions. I'm not telling different, but three definitions. First one by L.R. Palmer, and second by Charles F. Hockett, and third one Leonard Bloomfield. Okay, Palmer's definition. A word is the smallest speech unit. Smallest speech unit capable of functioning as a complete utterance. So even if, according to Palmer, even if the word is the smallest speech unit, it can function as a complete utterance. Okay, as a complete utterance. Now, for example, while you are working, while you are doing some work, somebody asks from you, what are you doing? Okay, right? So your answer may be homework. I'm doing homework. Without telling it like that, you just say homework. What does that mean? The complete idea behind the single word homework is that I am doing homework. But you give that whole complete idea with one word. Okay, so even a single word is capable of functioning as a complete utterance. That is the point raised by L.R. Palmer here in his definition. And Hockett's definition, word is thus any segment of a sentence bounded by successive points at which pausing is possible. Right, yeah, Hockett is talking about pausing. So that means the spoken aspect of the words. When we are speaking words, we separate them by pauses, bounded by successive points at which pausing is possible. Okay, right. And Bloomfield's definition, word is a minimum free form. Okay, his definition is the shortest one, but the strongest one. Because what do you understand by Leonard Bloomfield's definition? Minimum means smallest, right? And free form means can stand alone. So word is the smallest form that can stand alone means, in a way, this has a relation to Palmer's idea. Can stand alone independently means can give a complete idea without depending on anything or without being attached to anything else. The word can stand. A word is the smallest form that can stand with a complete idea, with a complete meaning. Okay, right. So these three definitions are equally important, like the earlier definition. So you can find some more definitions because there are so many definitions to word. I have selected only few here. Okay, by reading these things, hope you can get some clearer idea regarding what word is. Right, now we are coming to morphemes. Now, morphemes are very, very important in the discussion of morphology. Okay, because morphology means studying the formation of words. How we arrange the parts inside a word and form a word. That is studied in morphology. In that study or in that discussion, we can't leave out about morphemes, right? Morphemes are very, very important. So I'll give you one is not enough, right? 2-3 minutes, because I send this note only today, no, right? So there may be students among you who are not very much aware of these concepts. So I'll give you 2-3 minutes now, and please read morphemes up to even morph, right? Okay, both morpheme and morph, there are two terms. At least first finish this morpheme. Okay, right. Just read this now. Read on your own, understand. Okay, what is meant? Okay. Okay. Hope you have read at least this part in order to get some idea regarding what morpheme is. So you must have definitely gone through the first part, right? Morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit in a language. It is not necessarily equivalent to a word, but maybe a smaller unit. Right now, this is the idea. I have actually in yellow color underlined. Right? Morpheme is the smallest and meaningful unit in a language. Now, in the one of earlier definitions, we discussed word is the smallest unit. Yeah, that's right. But again, when you in detail keep on analyzing, we find some units that are smaller than a word that we can find inside a word. Okay, units that are smaller than a word, and such units are called morphemes. The other smallestness is one main feature and characteristic of morpheme, and the other characteristic is meaningfulness. So we'll talk about it in these uh, points. Here you have an example. Headphones. Headphones. Right? So we say there are three morphemes. Because if I ask you to divide this word into meaningful parts, you would be drawing the lines like this in between head and phones, and again in between phone and s. Because why do you draw your lines like this? Because head has its own meaning and phone has its own meaning. And there's a reason why we add s also. Okay. Because we add s because we want to make it plural. If we do not add s, it will remain as only headphone, just singular number. But we want to have the plural number, so we add s. Okay, therefore, in that sense, s also has a meaning. Actually speaking, it has a grammatical function. So there are three units here. Three units that are small, smallest, as well as having meaning. So these three are the morphemes of the word headphones. Similarly, you have another example, ringleader, right? Ringleader. This one, there also you can find three morphemes, ring, lead, and ear. Each has its own meanings. Okay, right. And then you have these characteristics of morphemes. You need to know them very thoroughly. First one, it is internally indivisible. Indivisible means we can't divide a morpheme into further smaller meaningful units within the area of morphology. Okay, within the area of morphology, although that part is not there in the note, I highlighted because you can argue with me, why can't we divide? If you just think about the word head, right, in headphones, head, there are again subparts, right? When you go down to phonetic level, her is there, a is there, and the is there. So there are three phonemes, three human speech sounds. But we do not talk up to that part in morphology. Within the area of morphology, morpheme head is the last, the ultimate smallest division. We can't divide it further and further. So that is why here we say it cannot be further subdivided or analyzed into smaller meaningful units, right? And it has internal stability since nothing can be interposed in a morpheme, right? Internal stability. Nothing can be like inserted. This is stable unit. Head is a stable unit. Just like phone is a stable unit. Okay, you can't have any changes in the middle. Can't add anything, so you can't remove any existing part or sound there. Okay, and it is externally transportable simply understanding means you can move it here and there. Okay, right? They are not fixed. No, morphemes can be moved. Like for example, this ER and S, you can use it with any matching root. And it has positional mobility or free distribution occurring in various contexts, right? Free distribution means, again, just think about an example morpheme like ER, okay? ER, I'm taking only as an example. We say it has mobility or free distribution means we can add AR at the end of any adjective, any disyllabic adjective, right? Not polysyllabic one, because we're talking about polysyllabic adjectives, we add more and more, most. But disyllabic adjective like happy and monosyllabic adjectives, both monosyllabic and disyllabic, like happy, happier, and tall, taller, short, shorter, nice, nicer. So AR can be attached to any matching root there. Okay, it has the mobility, positional mobility. Otherwise, we do not fix ER to a particular root only. No? To a matching, any matching root, we can add ER. So it can occur in various contexts there. ER is not the only example, whatever, right? Especially talking about these grammatical morphemes, they have this positional mobility or free distribution. They can occur in various contexts with various roots that are appropriate. Okay, so these are the characteristics as a whole when we talk about morphemes. And here you have an idea regarding how to write morphemes. They are represented normally within curly brackets. Curly brackets, when you read certain things, you might find certain words within curly brackets like this. So you need to understand you are reading the morpheme there, not a word, okay? Inside a word, you might find a morpheme and that is separately written using curly brackets, curly braces. Okay, right. So that's about writing part. And this is a classification of morphemes based on their meaning. You can find the classification in two levels, right? First level, all the morphemes are identified either as grammatical morphemes or lexical morphemes, right? Grammatical morphemes or lexical morphemes. You don't have examples here, right? Okay, I will give you some examples too. Right, talking about grammatical morphemes, what do you mean by any morpheme that carries a grammatical meaning or that fulfills a grammatical requirement in the sentence once used it in a sentence? Okay, so examples like any word that comes under the close word class category. So prepositions, conjunctions, articles, auxiliary verbs, okay, determiners, demonstratives, all these are grammatical morphemes. And lexical morphemes, they are similar to the open word class items like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. Okay, right. And if you go back again to grammatical branch, you can identify again two types of grammatical morphemes. Function word is one type. Function words are the words, complete words like any can be prepositions like on, of, from, above, before, or it can be conjunctions like and, but, or it can be pronouns he, she, it, or auxiliary verbs like um, may, might, shall, will, etc. etc. So function words are actually the closed word class words. They are the closed word class words. Okay, closed word class. And then you have under grammatical morpheme, inflectional affixes. These are the suffixes, okay? These are the suffixes that uh, convey grammatical meaning or that are used to perform some grammatical functions. Examples are like S. We add S to the end of a noun to make it plural. So pluralization is a grammatical function. Or we add S to the end of a verb to make it singular in number. Again, S has a grammatical function, right? And we have ED. ED is another inflectional affix. We add ED to make we add ED to the base form of a verb to make it past form or past participle form if it is a regular verb. Okay, to form the past tense form or what do you call this? Past perfect. Sorry, past participle form, right? And talking about irregular verbs, we add en to make it past participle. So en is another example for inflectional affix, and we have est. Likewise, there are etc. There are many more. Actually, the number is 8. There are 8 different inflectional affixes. All these are coming under grammatical morpheme side. Okay, when you go to the other side, lexical morphemes, you have content words. One category, content words are, now you can guess the words that come under open word class. Okay, so it can be any noun like girl, boy, man, tree, house. It can be adjective like happy, sad, good, bad, or adverb, cunningly, sweetly, greedily, slowly. Okay, it can be any verb like eat, drink, sleep, dance. So all these words are content words and they all are lexical morphemes. And there's the other type, derivational affixes. Sorry, now here also we get the problem. Okay, right? I was talking about the derivational affixes that come under lexical morpheme category. These are either prefixes or suffixes that have semantic meaning. So talking about the prefixes like prefixes, okay? This, pre, etc. There are so many prefixes that convey a sort of semantic meaning as well as suffixes. Like, for example, full at the end of beautiful, helpful, or less, like helpless, careless, right? etc. So all these are containing semantic idea, semantic meaning. So they are considered to be coming under lexical morpheme category. But here now you must have noticed inflectional affixes and derivational affixes are only affixes. They are either prefixes or suffixes. But talking about inflectional category, there are only suffixes, right? No prefixes available. But derivational category, we have both prefixes and suffixes. And talking about the other category, content words under lexical morphemes and function words under grammatical morphemes are complete morphemes. Complete, they are not bound. They are not prefixes or suffixes. They are free forms. Okay. Then we have another concept that is called morph. Okay, that is called morph. Both morph and morphemes are a bit same, but still there's a difference. There's a clear difference there. So I need you to go through this part just like you read morpheme. And there's a classification also. Right? Yeah, just go through this part on your own and try to understand what do you mean by morph on your own. Morph. Um, yes. Now, is that clear? The opening line says morph is the concrete realization of a morpheme or the actual segment of a word as it is spoken or pronounced. See how far you can understand this idea. Okay. Now, earlier we were talking about morpheme. And here you need to be clear with the fact that morpheme is just the concept. Okay. It is only the concept. And usually concepts are there in our mind, right? Concepts are abstract. Nobody can see them and no one can touch them, right? They are intangible. Physically, we can't, of course, articulate concept. Concepts are there in the mind only. And morphemes are concepts, right? And morphs are the means through which we express a morpheme or we express a concept. In other words, morphs are the concrete realization of a morpheme. So either in writing or in speaking, we express or we represent a morpheme in the form of morph. So what you can see on my screen are not morphemes, right? They are morphs. And what you can hear when I'm talking are morphs, not morphemes. But morpheme is there in your mind, and that is why you can understand when you read these lines. Or when you hear I'm talking. Morphemes are there in your mind. Morphemes are there in my mind, but I put my morphemes, my ideas, my concepts out in the form of morphs. So morphs, yet in other words, are the physical representation of morpheme or the actual segment of a word as it is spoken or pronounced or even as it is written. Okay, actual segment of a word. Okay, right. So that is the main idea talking about morph. Yeah, sometimes although we know that a morpheme exists, it has no concrete realization. In such a situation, we talk about zeromorph. Right, zeromorph, you have a very clear now, as you have read this part, I'm not going to read all the lines. You have this example, fish. Right, okay, the word is fish. That's there here. What is the plural form of fish? What is the plural form of fish?
It's fish, madam.
Same, right? It is fish. So then both singular form as well as the plural forms are fish. There's no change there. No, there's a condition there, right? If you are referring to the same type of fish, same species of fish, then fish, same. Then what is the morpheme that you use to indicate the plural number? Now, if you just think about book and books, book is the singular morpheme and books is a plural number there, and we indicate the plural number by adding s. Just like that, where is the morpheme that you use to indicate the plural number in fish, in plural fish? Do you have a particular or separate morpheme to indicate the plural number of fish? No, you don't have, right? We don't have any particular morpheme that represents the plural number, which means both singular and plural number are same. In such a situation, we say we use zeromorph. Zeromorph means no morph, but still the idea is there. The morpheme is there. Okay, morpheme is there, but no morph. Physically, no morph. Right, and there's another example, past tense of left. This is the other example, right? Yeah. So let has the same form both in the present form as well as the past form, right? Both present and past forms of let are the same, but we don't have any particular suffix that we add to the end of the present form or base form to make it past. Just like fish example, but in fish we talk about singular and plural. In let we talk about past tense and present tense. Both forms are the same. We don't have any particular like ed. Okay, walk, walked. We add ed there. Just like that here we don't have any particular morph. No morph, so zero morph. But still the meaning is there. Okay, right. So morph is something like that. It is the physical representation. or concrete realization of a morpheme. Always remember, morpheme is the meaning or the concept that is there in the mind, whereas morpheme is what we write on a paper or what we speak. Physical realization means that. And here you have another classification of morphs. This is similar to the previous one, but based on the previous one, but here this is very much detailed. Okay, very much detailed. Here you can see free morph and bound morph. So you can use the word morpheme too instead of morph here, no issue, right? And free morph is usually the root word. And it can either be content words or function words. Content words are there in the open word class, function words are there in the closed word class. And on the other hand, we have bound morphemes or bound morphs, which means what do you call affixes, either prefixes or suffixes. Now you have three categories: affixes, bound root, enclitic. Among these three types, actually, affixes are considered to be the commonest type of bound morphemes. But other than that, you have bound root as well as enclitic. And talking about affix, you have prefix and suffix. And prefixes only derivational, whereas suffixes can either be derivational as well as inflection. And talking about enclitic, you have auxiliary and negative. Right now, these are the different types of bound morphemes. I think you are quite familiar with the affixes, but you need to be at the same time familiar with bound roots and enclitics too. Okay, so you have some more explanations to these types. Okay, now basically talking about the difference between free and bound morphemes. Free morphs stand alone as a word, whereas bound morph may not stand alone as a word, right? It must always be attached to another morph or mostly to a free morpheme. And free morph is always the root. Okay, and it means it can carry the principal lexical or grammatical meaning, and it occupies the position where there is greatest potential for substitution, and it may attach to other free or bound morphemes. Okay, we need to be thorough with these ideas in order to understand what free morphs are. You have examples of roots here underlined, okay? Overgrown, decoration, provocation, disheartened, reclassify, heterosexuality, upbringing. These are lengthy words, morphologically complex words. And in these words, I have underlined the free morph, or in other words, the root. Okay. And you can find we have added either prefixes or suffixes to these roots. In certain examples, both prefix and suffix are added to the same root, and some other example words like heterosexuality, more than one prefix and more than one. Here, hetero is one prefix anyway, but more than even one suffix. Okay, which means prefixes and suffixes can be added in various ways to a root, which is a free morph. Okay. And now this is about bound morphs or bound roots. Now be familiar with the bound roots. I don't think you have a problem regarding the affixes, but bound roots, just to go through this part, they are often foreign borrowings, okay, that were free in the source language, but not free in English. You know, but borrowings, we are taking words to the English language from other languages. So here the point is, in these original languages, in source languages, these borrowings are considered to be free morphemes. But once we borrow them, once they come to the English language, they are not anymore free. Okay. They are considered to be bound. They are attached to some other morphemes. Here in these examples, the root, we would all intuitively identify the root. That means word, knit, sieve, offer. Now these are the roots. In part because it occurs in a number of words as to the prefixes. Actually, in these words, you can find these underlying parts to be repetitively occurring. Okay, consistently they are occurring regularly. At the end of convert, word occurs at the end of convert, revert, subword, introvert, even extrovert, pervert, right? Word is there. But we do not traditionally consider this word as a suffix, right? It is not a suffix. It is a root, a bound root. We call it a bound root because it occurs in so many situations, in number of words. And mit is another example, which you can find in transmit, commit, remit, admit, omit, submit. You might have some more words. And sieve is another bound word, like conceive, perceive, receive, deceive. For, yet another example, transfer, refer, prefer, defer, and also confer. Okay, so these are considered not as suffixes, right? Although they occur at the end of these words, they are not suffixes. They are considered to be the root words, but the special feature of these root words is that they occur, right? Constantly they occur in number of words. Therefore, they are considered to be, they are called bound roots. And talking about enclitics, it's there, right? Enclitic means auxiliaries and negatives. They are also called to be mobs that come under bound morpheme category, right? So I'm going to detail it other than that. And here you have comparison between derivational and inflectional affixes in English. So you get derivational and inflectional categories here, right? See, under affixes. Under affixes. So some talking about prefixes, there are only derivation. But talking about suffixes, you get both types, right? Both derivational and inflectional. In other words, you do not have, right, inflectional prefixes. You have only derivational prefixes, but both derivational and inflectional suffixes. So then what about the differences between these two? As a whole, you need to know derivational affixes convey semantic meaning. They are either prefixes or suffixes, and they convey a semantic meaning. And the rest of the points or the characteristics you need to read and understand. On the other hand, talking about inflectional affixes, they exist only in the form of suffixes, right? No prefixes. And they indicate a grammatical function. Okay, they always indicate grammatical meaning, like pluralization, making the word past, in comparison, okay, etc., like possession, etc. Particular grammatical function is fulfilled by inflectional affixes. So remember the main difference, derivational affixes are giving us semantic meaning, whereas inflectional affixes are giving us a grammatical meaning. And along with that, the other points are simple to understand. You can read them on your own. Okay, right. Now you have a small work here. In order to check your understanding of morphs and morphemes. Okay, you can check whether you have correctly understood these two. You have a list of words. Identify morphs and morphemes of each word here. You can just write the number, I mean how many, the count, How many morphs are there in the word writers? How many morphemes are there in the same word? And one by one, you can consider the words. Writers, authors, mice, fish, children, teeth, mans, men's. Okay, right. Still have some time. 5 minutes are there. I'll give you around 5 minutes. Okay. Give you around 5 minutes to count the number of both morphs and morphemes. Yeah. Before we wind up the session today, let's talk about this. Okay? Yeah, take your time. Start doing. Okay, right. Well, I would like if you can tell me the count one by one. The first word, writers. How many morphs are there and how many morphemes are there? Or do you find different numbers or whatever? Yes. Who did this work?
Three, madam.
Three, both. Both morphs and morphemes, you mean?
Yes, madam.
Can you please tell me What are the three morphemes?
Right,
Yeah.
ER, and S.
Okay. Second one?
2, madam.
Uh-huh. At the same time, you have to name them also.
Author plus S.
Third one, mice. Morphs, how many? Did you try this, Asana? Asana, you have done only the first two?
No, madam. For mice, the base comes like mouse. So, is it 2 morphs?
2 morphs.
Oh,
Then how many morphemes?
I'm not sure.
Right. How many morphemes?
1, madam.
1. Morpheme? Or have you changed both? Right. Anyway, I'm going to show you the count, right? Fish. Fish, earlier we discussed as an example. Here also you must have put the numbers correctly. Anyway, as the time is also flying, I will go to the numbers. See. Okay. Only Asana was talking. So Asana, could you please check now your counts? You have been correct in the first and second. And third one, actually, only mice is 1 morph. Okay. 1 single morph, but within that you have 2 meanings. 2 morphemes. One meaning is animal, mouse. And the other meaning is the plural noun. So 2 morphemes, but we have only 1 word, 1 morph. Is that clear? So it's like something like fish, plural fish. And check the other words also. Children, we have 2 morphs. One is child, the other one run, R-E-N. And again, 2 morphemes. And talking about teeth, 1 morph, because you don't have any prefixes or suffixes attached to that, 1 morph. But we have 2 morphemes. And mans, we have 2 morphs because one is man, the other one S. First of all, S. Similarly, we have 2 morphemes. Man meaning, that means semantic meaning, and possessive meaning. And men's means, men, first of yes. Again, we have 2 morphs, right? Men is 1 morph and S is another morph. But within men, we have 2 meanings. One is the semantic meaning, man meaning, and plural meaning, and S represents the possessive form. So altogether 3 morphemes in men's. Okay, right? Asana, what about your answers? Are they correct or now are you clear?
Now I'm clear, madam.
Right. Okay. I don't know whether anybody else. Yoganandi, are you doing the work or have you tried this?
Yes, madam, I tried. Fish is difficult, but other okay.
Fish is difficult, but the thing is, fish is also something like mice and even teeth.
But mice okay. Fish I didn't do.
It is not okay, most probably because fish has the same form for both plural and singular forms. That may be why. It has the same form. Here I have taken plural fish, okay? Not the singular fish, plural fish. If it is singular fish, okay, only 1 morph and 1 morpheme. But here I mean the plural, more than 1 fish. So then, morphemes. Okay, right. So be clear with your knowledge on morphs and morphemes. And as the time is up, right, we will be moving on to the next part of our discussion next day, right? Next day, I will try my level best to cover these areas within the time that has been given to me. And okay, right, let's see then. We'll meet you next Sunday, I think. Yeah, next Sunday we'll have the next lecture. All right, then good night, all of you. See you.
Good
Thank you,
night.
madam. Good night.
Thank you.